Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Badger Rock Neighborhood Center virtual workshop for Heritage Month. And today we are with some really cool people and some beautiful, beautiful land if you look around. And I will let them introduce themselves as they give us a tour of this space.
Yes. Hey, Alex. Thanks for having us out at this beautiful space. I'm Nancy Vu Tran, she, her, hers. And this is.
Gajua, I also use she, her pronouns.
And we both know each other because Gajo used to be my boss at Freedom Inc. And I was a development director. But I also have strong, long ties to Badger Rock. And I was a community farmer there. And so I'm really pleased to be able to do this video for Badger Rock and to introduce them to this beautiful space. Today, we're just connecting because I thought what a great way to insert into Asian American Heritage Month the idea of Asian Americans owning our own land and being sustainable, and what does it mean to have spaces that we can like enjoy and renew ourselves and bring community together. And Gajwa just bought this beautiful property here in Stoughton. And so Gajwa, I was going to ask you to come out and talk about, I guess, maybe tell the community like who you are, how would they know about you?
Yes. So I used to work at Freedom Inc. Then I moved on to create Moving Mountains, which is also a nonprofit, but it's a national nonprofit. And one of the first things that I thought about was as I was transitioning, what radical rest would look like as I'm transitioning to a new role. And so I thought about radical rest and I thought about land and how Hmong people love land for food and using land for, rest. And so this dream here, Dia's Legacy, is part of Moving Mountains, and it's the 26 acres of really just wildlife and trees, right in the middle of Wisconsin, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the significance of like Dia's Legacy as your company and Moving Mountains? Like, what is the significance of those two names?
So, Moving Mountains, I think that in social justice work, we often think about how things are majestic or how like institutions and systems are rock hard and you can't move it. But what you and I both know is through vigor and through organizing that actually even mountains can be moved one spoon at a time as sand or soil. And so that concept really resonated with me when I was thinking about all of the years that I've spent in social justice movements and how we've been able to move even systems that people feel like we're never going to change, and how we were able to do that. And then when I bought this land, I've always grown up, not as a farmer myself, but my mother is a master gardener. And so I just knew how much Hmong people love land and love food and love gardening. And I knew my mom liked that. And so this Dia's Legacy is named after her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think one of the things I would love to do, and I was insistent on us coming to your farm because, Sarah and Hetty, we were like, well, maybe we can just do it, over Zoom. And I was like, no, we got to come and look at this beautiful space. So maybe we can just talk about, for instance, like you have this, I see this tilled soil over here. What is your vision for Moving Mountains, the farm, and what do you hope to grow in actual produce products, but also in like community resilience? Like, what are you planning to do with this piece of soil over here?
Yeah, of course, I love flowers. I think flowers are healing. But then, if I could, I just grow all flowers. But my people would never let me do that. So I've agreed that we would have a garden with herbs, medicinal herbs. I'd like for this space to be giving back to community. One of the things that I've learned during COVID was there was a food desert and it was really hard to access food, and particularly elders or poor people. And so I was thinking to myself, if we ever had a pandemic again, even an acre, whatever was grown here, if you can get here, it's free food for you. And so with that concept in mind, it's like taking care of each other. What is that going to look like? But really, when you drive through this property, I want you to think about rest, and I want you to think about how healthy rest is also healthy as part of healthy spaces is also part of like being healthy and being like part of the mental wellness.
Yeah.
And so flowers, when you come by, and then when I thought about flowers, I'm like, well, we should do bees too, because bees love flowers.
Yep.
So this first part here, when it's all done and you all come back in 6 months, it's going to be just full of wildflowers. And I also would love to grow on this 26 acres. Next year is our 50th year here in the U.S. Well, next year is actually the anniversary of the end of the American War in Southeast Asia. And so how do we commemorate that, and how do we celebrate our existence here? And so I'm really thinking about the rest of the land, just growing like things that Hmong people love, from lemongrass to hemp, to beautiful poppies. So everything that I think when Hmong people look or see, or Southeast Asians, when they walk through this land, I want them to feel connected and restful. And so
and that is so beautiful, because I think maybe we should even talk about that, is, you know, how you're using this land and this space to honor, you know, Hmong and other Southeast Asians, you know, 50th year anniversary in the United States due to the American War, due to American intervention in Southeast Asia. You know, I think, can you talk more about how, I know you want to use this land to like create a healing garden with like Hmong herbs and other culinary medicinal herbs. I guess like talk a little bit more about how you want to use this farm to honor or uplift the fact that we've been here 50 years, and how you're going to use it to promote healing for our community.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as a walking museum, like a healing museum. So, you know, making ways, there's 20 something acres back there, as we can see, but really just a path in a museum for you to walk through and to feel yourself. And as you can see, as you can hear, we hear birds. I hope that with flowers, you'll see butterflies. With that, I hope you'll see bees. So there's like keeping up with like the old traditional ways of farming and the things that Hmong people love, like the medicinal stuff to hemp. I mean, I'm sure my mom and them and your mom and them haven't seen hemp since we've moved, you know? And so I think that
like a poppy field.
Yeah, poppy fields they've not seen, or even rice paddies, you know.
Have you had the elders come and visit your farm yet? What did they think, and were they telling you how they wanted to use the farm?
Yes, automatically, where can I garden? And then they really don't understand this concept of like, what are you going to grow? What, we can just look at it? Like they don't understand the concept of a walking museum. So I think I'm going to have to probably negotiate with them, and some of it is going to have to be for gardening, because they just don't get it. They're like, why would you waste land like that? The other thing that I'm really aware of is that, you know, as indigenous tribes, Hmong people are indigenous tribes, and as indigenous tribes, like, I understand our connection to land. It doesn't belong to us. You know, Diaz Legacy or Moving Mountains, we're just stewarding the land. And I know the people who came before us, I think this is Ho-Chunk land. And it's really important to me that, you know, as we're starting to be aware of that. And so I've reached out to several people, and I'm hopeful that, you know, just to give thanks to the fact that we can eat off the land. And I don't know what people used this land for prior to that, but I know that it belonged to a family for 100 years. And the difference now is that community get to eat off the land. And so I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah. Can you tell us more too? Maybe we can, is there a direction you want us to kind of walk?
Let's go this way.
Can you, and as we're going, maybe, can you tell us more about, I know you kind of jokingly said, well, I'm not a farmer, so but I know you're going to produce on this farm, but I know you have also other dreams for programming and activities at Moving Mountains. Can you tell us more about some of those programs and, you know, who you're uplifting with those programs?
Sure, absolutely. And so along with the Radical Rest, having a physical space like a Diaz Legacy, I think that for longtime movement makers like us, there are very few opportunities for us to rest, for us to take a sabbatical, for us to like figure out where we're going to go after movement. And so one of the programs that Moving Mountains is started up is, it's called the Ascent program. Basically, you know, climbing up, ascenting. And it's really just thinking about people who've been in movement for a long time. What do they do after that if they don't want to stay in movement, right? And so that's a program that offers a small stipend a couple $1,000s a year for any movement maker who's been in movement for a long time to take a rest. And so we offer that as a what is it, a grant, or a fellowship,
like a fellowship. That's awesome. Yeah, because I do know in the last couple of years there's been a lot of transitions in organizations all over the country, and I think we want to revitalize that, but we need rest, right? Yes. Like we need our people to be able to have a moment to rest. And I love that you're using your farm to also, you know, show how people can physically rest, like be here in this beautiful space, but also ways that you might be able to generate income and revenue through your farm to support like fellowships like that. You know, and I know that you're renovating your house, the house on the property right now. What are your visions for just how people might use like the property and this space?
So in addition to the land and to this walking museum that I'm talking about, I was really thinking, you know, so that it's got a home in it, and so it's being renovated. I'm hopeful that people can use it for rest, come through and, you know, spend some time here. It could be a writer's retreat. It could be for small nonprofits, people, families who want just to come on and rest and spend a few days here so they can go through the walking museum or, you know, and the other piece is that it's far enough from outside of the city, but it's close enough that people of color who actually don't want to go too far or don't want to be too far out in rural Wisconsin, that it's only about 10 minutes away from Madison. So I think that's the beautiful. And when I looked for land to buy, that was really a part of my thought process. It's like for safety reasons, and, you know, for also for people of color who may not feel as comfortable in other parts of Wisconsin. I really thought about that. And so that's one of the great things about this property here.
That it's still very accessible to the freeway, but also tranquil enough to feel like you're away from the city. Well, I already know, I told Kabzuag already that I want to curate a whole schedule of activities for her place. I was like, I'm gonna do yoga retreats, and we're gonna have cooking retreats, and, you know, our communities, I think our young people are so hungry to learn about our food pathways and just like, you know, learning how to do like pandao and learning how to use hemp and diet and all the beautiful things. And I mean, I can already see so many potential workshops happening, and I want to brand Moving Mountains as like the place that anyone who wants to come and learn about like Hmong culture, like this is a place. And also the place for convening like our families, right? Like if you want to bring together your family or your girlfriends or whatever, like this is a place to come to. But also, you know, because you can come here and you can also then be uplifting like all of those things that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? So it's nested between, you know, two agricultural land.
Oh, I think there's like a bunny or something.
See, this is beautiful, right? So it's got corn on this side, they're growing corn on the other side, and it's a safe haven for animals. For
this is
deers.
I hadn't actually walked this far, and it's, oh my goodness, it looks like out of a storybook.
Right. So it's so beautiful. I mean, it's got mature trees, and so we're gonna keep it that way.
Yes. Tell me more about just maybe some of the challenges that you face, like some of the things that you didn't anticipate, you know, buying this property, and how, you know, how you're overcoming that, and also how the community is coming together to support you, and what more, you know, that people could help with if they are seeing this and they want to support you.
So if you have seen this and you want to donate, definitely donate. I want to keep the cost down. And I want to make sure that people of color and poor folks have a getaway spot near Madison and in Wisconsin for people to be able to come through if that's what they want to do. So we will link the donation link to this video, and definitely do that. If you are an agriculturist, or if you're, what do they call them, horiconists, or people who know how to, create spaces in nature, and you want to donate your time, I would love that. I think there's different ways. If you're a beekeeper and you want to teach young people how to keep bees, come through. That's so these are the kind of things that I think, what do we call it, like mutual aid for each other. So you know, there's no shortage of what you can do and how you can volunteer here. If you want to cut grass You know, so I think that there's many different ways that we can contribute
Yeah.
to Dia's legacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I think this is the first time it's going to be owned by Hmong or Black and Brown organization, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think that it's we've seen these types of properties elsewhere, but we've never seen it
Mm.
owned by this type of nonprofit
Yeah. Can
organization.
you talk more about that too? Because I
Hmm.
think people don't realize how significant it is for you as like a Hmong woman
Uh-huh.
to own a piece of property like this. Like this is not usual. This is not easy. Like this is,
Yeah.
20 years of dreaming and planning.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know,
it's owned by Moving Mountains, which is
yeah.
a nonprofit. Look, it's got a little creek. It is a nonprofit. I did start the nonprofit, and so I think the beauty of that is, that the land will stay and can stay
Yeah.
with community for a long time to come.
Yeah.
But this is what we call the clearing. Once I got here, and then
Mm-hmm.
I looked through, and it was like just fields of like nothing. It was so beautiful. I was
Oh
like,
my
okay, we got to
goodness.
get this, but it's got to get cut too.
Yeah. So beyond this clearing is tall
Maybe like
grass.
20 more. You see those tall trees?
Yeah.
It's like 20 more acres of just trees.
Yeah. And beyond the trees is
I,
land that you want to till.
no,
Still, it's
beyond the trees is another owner.
oh, I see. So it goes up to the
Yeah,
tree
so
line
it's
right
like
there.
this. No, the tree line all the way back,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
20 more acres.
Yeah.
But I hear that there's a lot of deers, coyotes,
Yeah.
you know.
And I know you talked also about how this is like a safe place for
Yes.
community and they can come and they don't feel like they're trespassing and
No.
they can just be in nature.
Mhm.
And it's so vast, right? So that they can wander off
Yes.
and just have some stillness. I love that because I do think that in Wisconsin sometimes, Hmong and BIPOC folks don't necessarily always feel safe.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really beautiful part of your
Absolutely.
mission. Yeah, and I think too, like one of the things that makes me so excited about Moving Mountains is
Mhm.
that you and I are dreaming so big.
Yes.
And I was talking to Alex a little bit about this. It's like the thing that is going to keep our communities sustainable, right, and continue to generate generative wealth for us is actually owning land.
Mhm.
And can you give us like kind of some advice or tips or things that you learned throughout this process of even coming to look and thinking about buying this property and tips for other maybe potential people who want to own their own
Nonprofit.
farms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for nonprofits, after I was with Freedom Inc. for a long time, and I thought about, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
How do people start to institutionalize? Unfortunately, in this country, with capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way around that. But how do we um, be part of the fabric of a healthy, vibrant like community? And so we've rented for so long, and even with Freedom Inc., I was like, it's time to own something that the community can be part of. And so I took that with me when I came to Moving Mountains to create this dream of stewarding 26 acres of land for a community. And so this dream has always been about like, how do we keep it in the community? How do we give back to community? I think anything is possible. I think nonprofits out there, like one of the things that funders, I think, should give more unrestricted funds, should allow us to create. You think of this project as a mutual aid project, because really it isn't about who owns it; it's about who gets to use it.
Yeah.
And how accessible it's going to be. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
It's just the possibility of having having a home where victims and survivors can come for a retreat, or if there's a possibility that a family is seeking shelter, emergency shelter, like this could be a possibility. So there's so many different things that we can do, but as you all can see, I think the most beautiful part is to create land where food is healthy for us, but healthy space is also healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I haven't been this far into the property, and now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my goodness.
See, now you see.
There's so much work to be done. Yes. And I hope y'all watching come out in 6 months and help us steward this beautiful property.
Yes.
And we can start maybe heading back and we can, talk some more.
Isn't that gorgeous though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
I
it's
didn't think
sweet.
about it. I was like, but you know, when it was mowed, it was so pretty, Nancy.
Oh, because they had it all
Yeah, and
mowed for
I
you.
call it the clearing because once you get out there,
Yeah.
you're like, wow. But look at
The
this
little
is yeah,
creek.
and this just needs to be cleaned up,
Yeah.
and you know, yeah,
Yeah. I know
uh-huh.
I love being outside, but I forget like being outside, like really being outside, like what that it
Like
means. Because when we first got here, we were like spraying ourselves down with like bug spray and
exactly.
yeah, and
But can you imagine?
it's a
There's like
totally different
yeah,
experience.
there's animals in here.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think even though, we want to produce on this land, it's such a privilege to be able to be like, we just want to keep it like this,
yeah,
just
exactly.
natural and preserve it, and people can come and enjoy it, and that is actually part of the beauty of this farm too.
I think
That farms
so.
can be reimagined to like yes,
Abs-
produce, but just be
yeah,
And get
right.
rid of like the scarcity mindset. A lot
Yes.
of BIPOC people is like, I only have this amount of space, so I have to utilize it the best I can. And
Yes.
now it's like we
Yes.
have an abundance.
Yes.
So utilize it
yeah.
and
Yes. You could also like not even mow the lawn. Like you could just let the weeds grow and they're beautiful.
and you'll still have enough space to grow enough food for everybody.
Yes. Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yes. I think that, showing this to everyone now, and then being able to, have like an opening house in a couple of months,
Yes.
like we would love for everyone to come and see just, what they can contribute to this space, right?
Even co-creating together.
Yeah.
You know, some spots are like I can imagine this spot just being like a sitting spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like little benches.
Yeah, mowed all the way in and just put benches in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like this idea that there is enough for all of us, and it's so expansive, right?
yeah.
Like when you think about land, like I think expansive, but oftentimes we don't, right? It's very limited. Like you can only grow this here and this here, and
Yeah.
instead, this is the idea that land is expansive.
And you're able to set roots down. So a lot
Yes.
of things like with agriculture and
Ooh, that's
specifically
true.
our agriculture,
Mhm.
you're investing in the land. You're not really investing in like the season.
Yes.
And so having a space where people can put perennial stuff
Yes.
they don't have to worry about having to dig it up and move it in a couple
Look
years.
at you dreaming.
Yes.
The other piece that I think is important for us to talk about land, and especially how it connects to Asian Americans or Hmong Americans in Wisconsin, is that the majority of the farmers markets are, I mean, you see Hmong vendors everywhere, but the majority of them do not own the land.
Yeah.
And so they're like forced to rent, and then when farmers are done or they want to do something else, like they have to up and leave. And like you said, a lot of them planted like flowers for years, and they're like they got to dig all that up and move. And so I think that's something also to really think about, not just at this property, but for like BIPOC ownership of land, even if it's an acre, like people get to eat off of that. And so
they can do so much with an acre of land.
With an acre of land.
Yeah. And that reminds me too of this idea that I think most states are very proud of their farmers. Wisconsin is very proud of their Hmong farmers. Minnesota is very proud of their Hmong farmers. But like I always say, like, but we're not a tourist attraction, right? Like when we work and grow our food, like it's actually part of our livelihood. Like the grandma that's growing the little patch of cilantro, she's selling that, and that's like supplementing her intergenerational household's income. When they can't make the rent, like it's her little farmers market that is like supplementing that income. And I think that that's another part of this, is like thinking about how this is going to generate economic wealth for our communities, right? Because yes, it's beautiful and you can just be, but also there's a purpose for why people do farm, right? Like they want to make a livelihood out of it, and we need to be able to provide spaces for people beyond the growing season. And I know Gajo and I've been dreaming really big. Like we just wrote this huge grant, probably not big enough, but this huge grant, because we want to like create a production space where people can come and they can like have top-notch equipment to like can and dehydrate like Hmong herbs and sell it all around the world, and have income throughout the year, not just during like the growing period. But you need equipment for that. You need like capital. You need like certification and licensing, and then like we can dream. Like we have this space, and now we can build, right? We can build a brand new like center, right, for something like that. So yeah, so we're dreaming really
No,
big.
yeah.
And those things are things that are like that will allow people to make that level up
Yeah.
their
Yes.
Yeah.
businesses or whatever crafts
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I grew a lot of herbs and stuff, and so people would ask to buy like dehydrated herbs, but it takes me a
Mm.
week to dehydrate my little dehydrator. Like I don't have an
Yeah.
industrial
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and so being able to have a space where people can grow, they know how
Yeah.
to grow,
Yeah.
but being able to process
Yes.
everything
Or
and
have like
package it.
industrial like freezer walk-in freezers to
Yes.
like freeze your food, even if you're not selling it, to just be able to grow and then have a place to come, almost like a community like freezer locker, and just be like, I can access my frozen veggies all year round, because that's another way that we can preserve food. I think people don't think about that when they see our communities. Our communities, actually, a lot of them in Madison don't have huge mansions, right? Like a lot of them are in small apartments. I've heard that the beautiful Bayview apartments are coming up, but now they don't have that like extra level room anymore, where some of the families used to use as like their space for their deep freezers, to store food. So that, even though they're these beautiful renovated apartments, now they've not now they what space are they going to use to like preserve food? So I think about those things. They're like really practical things. And I want I want the space to be a place that people can do that, and to be a model for all the other places in the country, for our communities. Yeah. But anyhow, I think, yeah, so many times people, I think, like, I just went to the farmer's market this morning, and I was like, oh, it's so cute, and everyone's buying their little flowers, and I grew up working on a farm with my parents in California, and going to the farmer's market. I was a farmer's market baby, and I would go every weekend, and it was a lot of work. Like, it is not
a
fun.
lot of work.
And
It's very early.
it's very early, and sometimes, like, even some of the things that we were selling, like, my mom would be like, if I was not me, like, I had to go buy the stuff for my family, like, I probably couldn't afford it.
Right.
And so it's kind of sad to think that, like, some of the farmers out there, they probably can't even afford the things that they're selling, because it's the cost of living and everything is so high. But we want to treat our farmers as like part of our ecosystem. They're not just like a tourist attraction. You go to the farmers market and you just watch them like they're raising families and tending our land. Yeah.
We want them to be able to afford to eat what they're selling.
Yes.
A lot of the times, like, people don't even eat what they sell because they can make more taking care of somebody else's health than their own. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, welcome to Dia's Legacy Moving Mountains project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gajwa, is there anything else? I thought maybe we can end with, like, what is your hope for, like, this farm's impact on, Stoughton, on Madison, on Dane County, on Wisconsin? Because you are like a Wisconsinite.
I am.
And so maybe we can end off with, like, what is your hope for the impact that this will have on the larger community?
I mean, I think that the impact is probably going to be national. People are always looking for places to rest. People are looking for, people of color ran and owned spaces, because we're going to be intentional about this space. And our falls are the most beautiful, and our winters are cold, but it's still gorgeous.
Beautiful here, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that this could become a place where people feel like, I want to go to Dia's Legacy or Moving Mountain to reimagine where I'm heading. But really, for the local folks, like I said, it should be land where people can eat off. It should be land where bees get to make medicine and people get to come. If you can afford it, you pay for it. If you can't, take it, And so I think that that's always been my mindset about giving back to community. The flower part is really, I mean, I just love flowers.
Yeah.
I always say, our people are growing flowers, and they're not growing things to eat, but because I want this space to be a healing space, I think that there's room for both.
Yeah, but we can't have the things to eat without the flowers, because we need the bees to pollinate the flowers, right?
Yeah. So I think that it's going to have a huge impact. I also want to, the reason why I decided to renovate was because I feel like there was nothing wrong with the property, but I feel like poor people and people of color and women and children and survivors and victims, they get a beautiful place to rest too. And so that's what I'm reimagining. As you can see here, I'd like to turn this into an event space. And so hopefully when it's up and running, like if you want to rent and do events out here, graduations, weddings, whatever it is, I hope that it would be something that the community can actually use.
Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for being out here, and you know, Alex and Rooted and Badger Rock, for y'all just thinking about us and our role in this economy and this ecosystem of farming. Like I was thinking, man, should I dress like a farmer because I'm gonna be on this video? But like I guess I want to say that like farming is multi-angled, right? And there are many people who are in this ecosystem trying to do many things with our land, and it's also producing, but it's also like, how do you utilize land to create safe, healing spaces? And so there are people like Gajo and I who are like, we're like wannabe farmers.
No, Nancy is actually a farmer.
I am a farmer, I guess.
Nancy's actually a farmer.
I just don't have my overalls on. But yeah, I think this allows us to talk about that there are other ways of being with the land, and I want that expansive idea to go to for other people to believe that, so that they can, you know, access that, you know, for younger people, for people who were like, I don't want to touch dirt, you know, I don't want to deal with worms. Like, you can still be part of land and steward it in a different way, whatever skill you have. So thank you for having us and allowing us to offer this alternative narrative to land.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to highlight you for this.
Yes, absolutely.
Heritage Month, and then also like for the work that you're doing here in general. Like this is needed not only for the Hmong and BIPOC community, but just needed in food and agriculture. And yeah, like we all are understanding the systems are kind of not working. So we need to have other spaces where smaller organizations, smaller people. Thank you for all this.
Of course. Awesome. Between Nancy and I, next year when you come through, this is going to be transformed.
Yes.
Cannot wait.
Thank you.
Thanks.